BMRforum.com and BMRodds.com. What is going on, boys? What is going on? Welcome back to episode number 66 of The Lobby, guys. 66 episodes of this amazing show already. Time is really flying by. But starting off with the man with the nice Hawaiian shirt look, Mr. Sam's in charge. What's up, Sammy?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time wearing a shirt in over a day. It's 95 degrees in upstate New York. It's a heat wave this week, so I had to put on a shirt for the folks on BMR. I know Flying Illini might be disappointed. I know, Bobby, he wants to see you shirtless, but we'll save that for another time.
Yes, he does. And it's 110 out here, 105, 110. You walk outside, you feel like you just stepped into an oven, Sam.
Yeah, that's normal for you, though. It's not normal for us.
Right. And then last but certainly not least, Mr. Donnie Reddside. What's up, Donnie?
Yeah, the heat dome over the Northeast. Hopefully that heat dome does leave, but it is hot. It is muggy. It is humidity outside. It's kind of rough, but it is pretty good hitting weather in most baseball situations, which we'll certainly get to. But I'm enjoying hockey right now. We got an extended series, thank goodness, because that NBA Finals, which we'll talk about, ended prematurely in my mind, but a lot of good stuff to look forward to. And by the way, we're midway through June. In 1 month from today, most of the NFL teams will be in training camp. How quick that season is approaching as well.
Yes, it is definitely a good time for sure. Sammy, let's jump right into NHL since Donnie brought it up and it's so hot out. Let's talk about something cold. Let's talk some ice. 3-2, Florida leads that series. What's your thoughts? You've been watching any of the games? What do you think?
Yeah, I love the NHL playoffs. It's been super exciting. The last two games, Edmonton's finally decided to score some goals. Connor McDavid's throwing some serious moves. What an assist last night, getting an empty netter goal. He's now the favorite to win the MVP for the finals if Edmonton ends up coming back. And no reason why not to take them Game 6 tomorrow night at home to take it back to Game 7. Again, They're putting up goals now, so that's what was missing in the first couple games. Now that they're scoring, you got to keep them while they're hot.
Exactly. Donnie, you've been catching in the series. What do you like tomorrow night?
I've been really enjoying it, and also how good a player Connor McDavid is. My goodness, you're probably going to win the Conn Smythe Trophy even without Edmonton winning the Stanley Cup. That's how dominant he's been. He's been phenomenal the past two games, bringing Edmonton back. Game 6 on your home ice. You're supposed to win that game. Would love to see a Stanley Cup final, game number 7, winner take all, tied going into the third period. I think that's what we all deserve at this point. But it's been a great playoff run all the way through. I've been enjoying it all the way. We'll see what happens next.
Yes, definitely. It has definitely been a lot of fun. Hopefully the series does go deep, unlike that pitiful NBA Celtics Mavs series, Sammy.
Yeah, probably one of the worst NBA finals in recent history. Two of the games, the last two games, you couldn't even watch past halftime. They were 20-plus point blowouts. Jason Tatum should have won MVP. He led all the stats for Boston, but didn't win MVP. His cringeworthy post celebration that was Kevin Garnett-esque was super uncomfortable. But I saw that the ratings were down about 12% year over year. The NBA is the only league that's not expanding their fan base. They're losing fan base where every other sport around the country is growing. So it's just a bad product, and the playoffs didn't do it any justice.
No, not at all. Donnie, I'm sure you caught the game. What was your opinion on the whole series overall?
No, it was very anticlimactic because the one thing, Boston was the best team in the NBA throughout the regular season. The fact that we usually like to see adversity, right, get a test. Like Sam and I enjoyed that Sixers-Knicks series, even though it wasn't a super long series. It had a lot of fun back and forth, and it felt like a rivalry. The Celtics didn't have any rivalry. Every single team was hurt. And then you came up, look, the Dallas Mavericks are a good team, but I think many people can argue probably not the best team in the West, but they still wound up in the NBA Finals. And the Boston Celtics cleaned their clocks. I like to see adversity hitting. We almost had 2 sweeps in the NHL and the NBA, but as a Boston gets their 18th championship, I was rooting on the Mavericks there because, again, being a fan of a team in the Northeast, obviously anti-Boston, they got their victory. And by the way, they're not going anywhere at this point. But having said that, and also bring up the point of ratings, I'm a big ratings guy. I like to see what's happening. WNBA ratings are up. The NBA ratings are down. But apparently the ratings don't matter in the NBA. Their next CBA with the TV money coming in is quadruple what they just did. And the ratings are down across the board. So maybe it's not about ratings. I don't know what it's about anymore. But Sammy's right on that. The ratings were down for a reason because it was really anticlimactic all the way through the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And Sammy, let's talk some tennis. How's that tennis threat looking? What do you got today on the court?
Yes, we're in the middle of grass season. I say the middle because it's week 2, and then we're a week and a half away from Wimbledon starting, and then right back to the hard court, and then right back to the Olympics where they're back on the clay. But it's pretty anticlimactic. I'm 28-28 over the last 10 days, and I'm pretty much just down juice. So I'm still sitting at plus 40 units for the year. Again, week and a half to go. I'll be doing a Wimbledon tournament, $150 winner take all, just like the French Open. So I'll be on the lookout next week. Once the draw comes out, it'll be the same format as the last contest. I think that one worked out well.
Awesome. Well, Sammy, speaking of contests, let's dive into some MLB. Let's start personally. What do you got as far as plays in the MLB today? And then how's JD's contest looking? How you doing in that?
Yes. So personally, I was on the Phillies today this afternoon. From a fantasy pitcher standpoint, Suarez did great. He pitched a quality start, only gave up 1 earned run. But as far as the team, Phillies ended up losing the game. So I lost as far as the contest goes. But personally, that the Yankees play tonight. Garrett Cole is back from injury. They are 10-1 on Wednesdays. How do you not take the Yankees at home against the Orioles tonight? As far as the contest goes, the top 3 sitting right now. Empire Maker has a big lead right now. He's up by over 6 units at plus 17.3, and he's lost about 4 days in a row. He was plus 21 or so, but he's still sitting at plus 17 units. Second and third place are plus 11.82 and plus 11.48. DH, Ristov, and Capitalist Pig. So Empire Maker's got a pretty good size lead, but again, there's still a long way to go in this, and a lot of movement still to happen.
Yes, definitely, for sure. Donnie, how's the baseball diamond looking so far today? What do you got in the night games tonight?
Yeah, rooting on some of these night things coming in. I did think the New York Mets were one of the hottest teams at the plate in Major League Baseball ever since Grimace threw out the first pitch. So something to watch. I do think they have an advantage tonight. Took a team total Mets over 4.5 at a plus 120 price. So 5 runs get you that plus 120 back. And also Freddie Freeman of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They played 7 runs alone yesterday in the 9th inning in a massive comeback against the Rockies. I do expect some runs to be scored tonight, but I did take Freddie Freeman an anytime RBI at a minus 110 price. Typically, they're all plus money, but anytime you get to Coors against a pitcher you figure you can hit with a good batter, you're going to be paying a little bit of juice there. It's only minus 110, so we'll see how it works out. But I got those 2 in play for tonight. That's what I'm watching for us, guys.
All righty. Awesome. Good luck there, Donnie. Let's give a couple quick shout outs. BMR Genie wanted to give a shout out to Franz 555 for his Euro soccer threat. Sammy, Donnie, we don't talk much soccer here on the podcast. So, Sammy, we'll start with you. Do you watch many games? Do you bet a lot of soccer? What are you thinking there?
So in reference to soccer, I will watch the major. So I watch the English Premier League. So I do follow that. It's very easily accessible on TV and on Peacock. And as far as the Euros, I'll definitely watch that. My cousin actually owns a local soccer bar. So I'm going down on Sunday to watch the Germany game. So that'll be pretty cool. Grab some drinks and watch the game. They always get a good crowd, especially this time of the year for the Euros. Obviously, go USA and Copa America, and always root for them in the FIFA tournament. Obviously, they always disappoint, just like the Yankees, just like the Cowboys, and just like all my other teams, the Knicks and the Rangers, that pretty much have the expectation they get to the next round, but they can't get to the next level to win a title. But yeah, I definitely follow along. As far as tracking bets, I don't track my soccer bets. I do make bets, but it's not heavy bets. It's definitely just more of because I'm watching it and because of the event of what's going on.
Okay, awesome. Donnie, same question for you as far as soccer. I mean, are you a fan? Do you do much betting with that?
I love the World Cup from start to finish. I bet it. I watch it. I'm into it. I think it's fantastic. The camaraderie of the nations getting together. But outside of that, I don't watch it at all. I don't watch the EPL. I don't watch the Euros. I don't watch the Copa. I'm just a pure World Cup person. So every 4 years, I get excited for soccer. That's about it for me.
All right. And let's jump into some Q&A, but real fast before we start that, a big shout out to our other co-host here, Pipe. Hope everything's well with your Pipe and hope to see you back here on the podcast soon.
Definitely.
Now, Sammy, BMR Genie wants to start this off. And funny, we're talking soccer betting because one of her questions for you is, how is your soccer betting going? I know you really don't keep a record, but overall, you think you're up or down?
Today I did good. In relative to, I was home today. I had the day off, so I was watching all the games. So if I was home sitting here watching it, I watched it. Had some money on it. So I had Hungary under 0.5 goals, and I had the under 2.5 in the Scotland-Switzerland game, which barely stayed. It was 1-1 early, and there's definitely should have been some more goals. But I went 2-0 today, so I'm pretty happy. Tomorrow, while I'm at work with some tennis action, I'm busy at work. I'm going to watch, or I'm going to track the games as far as know the outcome, but I'm not going to be probably betting anything.
Okay. And the one and only JJ Gold, he always goes off the rails with some questions for you, Sammy. So here we go. Sammy, what are your plans, as far as marriage? Are you in a relationship? Are you looking? I'm going to kind of expand on the question because all he said is, what are your plans as far as marriage? But I'm going to expand on that. Are you looking? Are you dating anybody? What's the Sammy relationship story here?
Funny story. So last Tuesday, not like 2 days ago, like 9 days ago, I went out to karaoke. And all she had was 3 martinis and 1 shot of Jameson. She was throwing up all night in the bathroom. And
what a lightweight!
Yeah, I haven't talked to her since. So that was quite the experience.
Wow.
So yeah, that happens. Yeah, I mean, I would get married again. I do want to be a dad, but you got to let it naturally happen. You can't force it.
Of course, exactly right. JJ also wants to know, and I'm pretty sure this is probably a no for you, Sam. Have you ever done embezzling of some money?
No. I guess to myself, maybe. I mean, I got I went to jail in college for petty larceny.
Let's hear that story. What happened? You went to jail for larceny?
Yeah, 3 weekends. 3 weekends up in Plattsburgh. Yeah.
Oh.
Wow, Sammy's a hard criminal.
I worked at Price Chopper. This was while the security system wasn't that great, and there's a bunch of people that run on the same registers throughout the day. So if the register's short a couple dollars, then they're not really going to figure out who did what. Yeah. But when the dollar amount kept rising, they can start to single someone out. So you get a little bit greedy. You try to run a scam, you run the system, and then like anything else, it doesn't matter if it's for a little amount or a dollar or a huge amount. Just Pablo Escobar all the way down to the little guy Price Chopper. Eventually, you get greedy and you get caught.
Oh wow, Sammy, what's your current liquor stock looking like? What do you got on deck?
Yeah, I always got bottles of SoCo. That's my favorite, Southern Comfort. Never grew out of that. Always got Jameson Proper 12, and then I always kept a couple of good bottles. I got Redbreast, Larceny, Woodford Reserve. Always got some good whiskeys, and then with the cheap whiskeys. But yeah, I'm always got bottles on deck.
Very, very nice. JJ's got a couple questions for me. Will I go on a second honeymoon? Maybe one day. And JJ, I just happened to notice your avatar. I'm looking at your questions here, not to get off track, but I don't know if you guys got it pulled up. It looks like Donald Trump in an orange suit here. That's the current avatar for JJ?
That's been that way for a couple weeks now.
Very interesting. I don't pay much attention to the avatars, obviously. But will I go on a second honeymoon? You know what? I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary here in 2024. Time flies. Wow. Time flies. So we were talking about doing something special for the 10-year. Haven't really planned anything yet, but I'm definitely going to make it special and, hopefully make it some type of second honeymoon. JJ also wants to know if my dad will move to Vegas, possibly one day. I've been putting in his ear for quite a few years now that, now is the best time to move out here, as they get older. Both my parents get older. It's obviously going to be a lot harder for them. So I think it's the best time is as soon as possible. But it sounds like they don't want to leave Jersey. That's where, they grew up, and that's where all the memories are and the house is. And, Donnie, I'm sure maybe not so much Sammy, but Donnie, I know, living in a house for years and years and years, you got plenty of crap, plenty of collectibles. You don't even know where to start if you're moving out.
Yeah. No, exactly. And especially it's hard to uproot, because if you said right now, you have no attachments to New Jersey right now, New Jersey might be the last place I honestly would be. Florida, Las Vegas, would rather have better weather down south and be in that type of region. But yeah, no, it's really hard to say, hey, let's just pick up and leave and get out of town, and realize what actually goes into that.
Exactly. It's a lot harder than people think. So JJ also has a couple questions for you there, Donnie. What are your long-term gambling goals?
Long-term gambling goals, I would say, is, I guess, just to be viable over the next 15 to 20 years. Because, look, we all win, we all lose at times. It's just a matter of you have to limit the damage of the losses that you have. So you never want to go to sleep waking up the next day going like, I'm going to have to take out a personal loan, hit up my father for some money, ask the wife to switch over some checking account money into my checking account here. You never want that. So for me, just to be profitable and also always to be fun. The one thing I think we realize as gamblers, like sometimes you do burn out at times, but if you can still keep it fun after all those years, because how many times, like, even if I like to play slots, at times I just get burned out and I'll go a month, 2 or 3 months without even thinking about playing a slot machine. I've never had that in gambling with handicapping. Like every single day, like, oh man, I lost last night. Maybe take a day off. But if you do that, you are itching to get right back at it the very next day. So for me, yes, keep it profitable, but still keeping it fun. Not a day goes by that legalized sports gambling, offshore gambling, where I've not wanted to gamble on either baseball or football or anything that's on TV. So as long as you keep it fun and informative, that's really what my goal is over the next 15 to 20 years.
All right. Awesome. I know, Donnie, I don't think this is really necessary, but JJ wants to know what you think about getting a perm.
Get it now. See, you know what? Like I've always had a short haircut, probably since maybe my senior year in high school, where for that football season, I shaved it short. Now, granted, I don't have a shaved head right now, but I got to tell you, if I was able to grow it out, I might roll with a perm. I mean, seriously, I ask my wife every once in a while. I don't think I can make it to that stage, though, and go, all right, don't cut your hair for like the next 3.5 months, because I cut it every 2 weeks. It would be so hard as it grows out, but I wouldn't mind it, man. I wouldn't mind having a like long set of lettuce on my top for a little bit, man.
Right. And JJ also wants to know, Donnie, have you ever been approached by any major networks, TV deals, maybe a movie deal here and there? Well,
I'll tell you an interesting story, and this was probably coming around the COVID era. It was the Discovery Network was doing a pilot series on, they wanted to follow around like 4 or 5 gamblers, and there's some big names in that pot. It was almost something similar. I think Showtime might have had it out in Vegas.
Showtime Action, like Max or something.
Yes, it was Kelly in Vegas. I think that one guy,
Krakenberger.
Exactly. There was one thing like that, which was interesting. I went through, I swear, 4 or 5 rounds with multiple directors on like maybe a week-to-week basis on like an hour interview with each one of them going forward. Now, I didn't end up getting the part, but again, the show never got greenlit anyway, so it wasn't as if I missed out on it. But that was the only time that was really interesting, where you had to sign releases and do all that stuff. I have been in a couple gambling documentaries where I had to sign, what's the thing they make you sign? It was a
NDA.
And there you go. Yes. And not an NDA, but almost like okay to use your images there. I've been in a few of those, but never been like a major motion picture or anything like that. But I was almost going to be on a pilot with a couple people, because they wanted to have the true professional gambler, the on-air content guy, the degenerate. You know how they go, they're all along the wheel. And they just wanted to see what part you actually fit in. But it never went live on air. But I was almost a part of something like that.
All right. And Sammy, these are a couple questions from you. First one from JDS, and actually a personal question before we move on, Sammy. How many bowls did you smoke before this program?
3.
I could tell. I could tell.
Relaxation, man.
Sammy, since your best sport to handicap is tennis, the JD is curious if you ever played tennis.
I didn't play it in high school on a team, but I definitely played it. Like in gym class and stuff, or I'd go to the courts with my dad or my brother and play. And then I did play intramurals in college, and I did take a 1-credit tennis class to pass up some time in the SUNY Plattsburgh days, but never played it really competitive. There is a tennis club a few buildings down from where I work, but it's super expensive to be a member there. And then plus the equipment, plus then you got to pay for the time and stuff. So it's expensive to play tennis, really. It's better to sit at home and watch it.
Same with golf. Golf is expensive. Golf is expensive too.
Not really. Not really. I wouldn't say it's as expensive as because I mean the clubs you're going to have for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then really all you're doing is you're spending money to either go to the range, which is less than $10 when you go to the range, and then when you play around, depending on if you're going on a card or not, it's anywhere between $50 to $75. If you go 3-4 times a month, you're talking $200 to $300 for 3 or 4 months. You're talking I don't know, maybe $1,000 less than that per year.
Okay, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought it was more expensive.
Yeah. I mean, if you buy clubs and you buy this and that equipment, like you could buy clubs that are $1,000 for a driver, for a iron, for a putter. You could spend $1,000 on a whole set. So, as much as I want to play golf 50 times a year, I play 10 to 15 times a year. So I'm the type that spends $1,000 on a set of clubs because, I am going to play. I am a bogey golfer. I'm a 90 golfer, but I'm not spending $5,000 for the best set of clubs to not necessarily take advantage of it.
Understandable. And thank you for those questions so far, guys. Wager on all sports. You want us to ask Sammy some questions about your history in New York? How long have you lived there? Did you grow up there?
Born and raised. Yeah, I'm 33. I'm 34 in a couple months. I've been here my whole life. I grew up 10 minutes away from where I live now. Went to SUNY Plattsburgh, which was 2.5 hours north, about an hour away from Canada, from Montreal. I went there a few times. But yeah, born and raised here my whole life. And you know what? It's funny. You talk about moving out of New York. You think about New York, right? No volcanoes, no earthquakes, no floods, no snakes, no alligators, no, none of that stuff. None of those. So
you have none of that. You have none of those natural disasters out here in Vegas either. Only rains 5-10 times a year. There's no snow.
It's too hot. It's too hot. Way too hot. I enjoy that. You know what? And also, I couldn't live in Vegas. The temptation being too close to the casinos. Like, I love going there in March Madness. I've been there 6 times.
Yes.
I do Vegas when I'm in Vegas. Haven't been there in 6 years.
You gotta get another trip out here.
When I was there a bunch of my mid-20s, I did Vegas, but I don't even know where this conversation started, obviously, because I'm high, but I'm just ranting. So go on.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. How old were you, Sam, when you first became a sports fan, and what were some of your first favorite teams?
I grew up with sports. In elementary school or even in kindergarten playing soccer. I remember playing soccer and playing baseball and playing basketball. I played all the major sports basically. I played it all the way through high school. Then I switched to wrestling from basketball. And then I played soccer in my mid-20s. So sports has been a big part of my life for my whole life. And I've always been a New York guy except for the Cowboys, we've talked about that all the time.
Right. And Donnie, he didn't ask the question, directed to you, but I'm going to throw it at you. Same one. How old were you when you became a sports fan? And what were some of your favorite teams growing up?
Oh, man, sports fan for life. I got to tell you, it's interesting because, usually in the provincial areas in the Northeast, like when you get born into a certain area, like me in Southern New Jersey, just outside of Philadelphia, you are supposed to be automatically a Philadelphia sports fan. Exactly. Same thing with Sammy. 100%. But when I was growing up, nobody really pointed me in the right direction earlier. It was almost like typical kid. You watch TV, what's on there? I love the Miami Dolphins because I love Dan Marino. Now, granted, the Eagles weren't very good at that time, but my dad and my stepfather weren't really pushy on, you got to be an Eagles fan. And then by the time I got to 6th grade, when Buddy Ryan was coaching the Philadelphia Eagles, I realized the error in my ways, and I had to join forces with the Philadelphia Eagles. So from 6th grade on, I was a monster Eagles fan right through to this day. But growing up, I like the Phillies, I like the Flyers, obviously the Philadelphia 76ers, just about all provincial. College football teams, same thing when you're young growing up. I have family that's in South Florida. They would send me up Miami Hurricanes gear. So I was always a Miami Hurricanes, and also didn't hurt when I was around, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Miami's winding up in the national championship game damn near just about every year. So it's always fun to root for it. Probably similar to Sammy. When the Dallas Cowboys are very good and they're on the TV all the time, and you're not like, hey, you better be a Giants fan, you tend to gravitate to the better teams growing up, not the bad teams growing up. So I've always had an affinity for the Miami Hurricanes, but I would say true fandom for me was probably 6th grade when I became a rabid Philadelphia sports fan.
All right. And Sammy, a follow-up question from Wager All Sports for you. How do you feel about the state of New York today as far as the economics, the politics, and would you ever consider leaving? And I'm going to ask my own follow-up question to that. If you do ever consider leaving, where would you go?
I kind of talked about leaving a couple minutes ago as far as the natural disasters and things like that. If I left, it would only probably be because I'm married and I'm moving for a girl. I've been at my job for 12 years in a week, so I'm established. I'm in a position to be a manager in a few years, so there's no reason for me to leave. But I can sell cars anywhere, so I'm adaptable. If I needed to leave or if I wanted to leave, I could leave. I'm outgoing enough to leave, but I'm comfortable where I'm at, and nothing's really pulling me away.
All right. And Donnie, Wager All Sports wants to know, how many years have you been with Sports Grid?
Oh man, Sports Grid. I would say what was my I'd say my first show was right around like post COVID, maybe very early in 2021. So that's when I joined up with them. But I've been with a couple different companies here again, across the street and here. It's been a long time. I would probably say dating back to maybe 2015,
Oh, wow.
2016, and like that offshore market. So been around
Right.
the block doing a lot of shows for a long time, YouTube, different networks, different channels and stuff like that. But Sports Grid, I think it was early 2021, I want to say, is when I began there.
Awesome. And you definitely do a good job with all that, and a great job here on this podcast.
I love it, man.
I
Yeah.
definitely appreciate you for that.
Yeah.
Sammy, last question before we get out of here from Chucky the GOAT. Given your tennis success, he wants you to break down your process, Sam. You're obviously very knowledgeable. Do you produce your own lines? Do you look at the market line and then bet the difference? How do what's your strategy as far as all that?
I think tennis handicapping is just like any other team sport, except individual. You looked at past performances. You look at their past performances on the surface, especially now that they're switching surfaces. You look at their past performance if they've played each other before and how they did. And then it's just as far as how much you've watched it, how many highlights you've watched, and that nature of it. It's just like any other sport. If you've watched a team, if you've watched the pitcher, if you've watched the batter, then you can predict as far as what you expect them to do in the next matchup. So tennis is, it's just like any other sport, right, as far as handicapping. As much research is how much you watch it and how much you're paying attention to it.
Are you making your own lines, or are you just no?
Okay. No, I'm not that advanced. I don't think I'm that skilled enough to do it. But I mean, I'm smart enough to know player A versus player B.
What the line you think what the line should be.
Yeah. I mean, again, I have 2 years of results of over 70 plus units. So,
right,
it's not, not throwing darts here.
Right. All righty, guys. Well, thank you both for your time. Best of luck to everyone on your plays this upcoming week. And we will see you guys around in the forum.
See ya.